Hi guys, welcome here. If you're new here, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Love Knits, and I thought it was about time to sit down and have a nice casual knitting podcast episode because I've got a lot of projects to talk about and it just wouldn't do in any other type of format. So I'm really excited to dive in and share with you guys what I've been stitching up over the last couple of weeks. I think it's been about a month since my last regular podcast update, so there are a lot of things that are different in comparison to that episode. So I don't know how long this is going to be. Hopefully it's not going to be too long. I do want to tell you that the boys are playing downstairs, so there might be some squeals, screams, cries in the background. That's just real life. So thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, first thing I should probably say is what I'm wearing, and I won't really go into too much detail about it because I think I've talked your ear off about it plenty. This is the Wednesday sweater by Petite Knit. I knit it with Phil Kalana Peruvian Highland wool and Phil Kalana Tilia held together. I don't know, I think I want to say it's lavender. I don't know the number or like the exact colorway, but it's like a dusty purple color that I really, really love. I love this combination. I think it's just a really fun, like it's a fun, what am I trying to say? It was fun to work with. It has a fun array of colors, and working with purple is just not something that I'd normally do. So I really enjoyed this, and I think that the fabric that the two make together is really, really nice. Maybe I can do like a little close-up. I cast this off in 2022, September 2022, and I don't think I've depilled it at all. So this combination is worth it. It's a little bit on the pricier side. I want to say I've spent probably 100 euros on material, which is kind of standard, I think, for a lot of, if you're doing like a mohair and a wool, a lot of yarn. For my sweater requirement, which I think I knit a medium, 100 euros is pretty typical, unless I'm going for maybe drops or something, which is much, like half that price. Yeah, so it's a little bit more on the pricey side, but my point is that it's definitely worth it. I thought investing in the materials was a really smart decision in this case. This is recommended in the pattern, so I'm very happy with the result. I was happy with the result as a whole when I first cast it off, but, you know, after wearing it, I noticed that the neckline wasn't different. So that's why I'm bringing attention to it again, because I recently ripped back. And in my last podcast episode, in a video, I told you guys that I was going to do it. I shared the process of that too. So again, I don't want to go into too many details about it, but basically I just ripped this big neckline and made it into more, not necessarily a crew collar. It's like a nice little hybrid between a crew neck and a turtleneck. It's mock neck, I guess. I guess that would also count as a mock neck. So that's my favorite because it doesn't go too high, it doesn't go too low. I still get that warmth on the neck and it's really nice. So I'm really happy that I revisited this sweater, and I'm getting a lot more use out of it actually since the past year that I've had it off the needles. In this last month, I've definitely grabbed for it a lot more. So it's definitely worthwhile revisiting those old finished objects. So yeah, that's out of the way. That's what I'm wearing. I will do my best to link things below if I remember. I'm really terrible about that sort of thing. So the next thing that I have is another finished object, and it was completely on a whim. I just finished it this morning, and I'm so pleased with the result. This is not something that was on my radar at all in the last weeks. It was literally just maybe 3 days ago that I saw this on a fellow knitter's feed on Instagram, and I just couldn't get it out of my head, so I had to make one myself. It is this little puppy dog. Do you see this puppy? Look how cute he is. Oh, he's adorable. Yeah, I love this dog so much. It's called Harry the Dog by Sardines Knitting, or I'll link the Etsy for sure in the description below. It's a really, really cute pattern. She has a lot of other stuffed animals available and even knitting kits. I saw this, no credit at all. I deserve no credit at all. It's Carson from Carsley Handmade on Instagram and here on YouTube. She didn't post this on YouTube yet, but I saw it on Instagram. She talked about having like an impulse purchase of this really fuzzy yarn, and she whipped up the project, and I just saw the project, and she has a little son, Wilder, who is close to Arthur's age, and I saw pictures of Wilder holding it, and I was just like, well, I think Arthur needs one too. He's actually really getting into stuffed animals now. He loves very soft things, like all babies do. And yeah, now that he's kind of getting more into it, I thought it would definitely be worthwhile. And this project did not disappoint. It took me 2 whole evenings, and it was just, I'm so happy because even this morning, he didn't have the nose and the eyes yet, but Arthur saw it on the couch and he picked him up and he started snuggling with it. So I was like, oh, it's already a success. It's wonderful. So this is just too cute. A lot of fun. Again, I didn't really, these sorts of projects are like never on my radar. I never really save them. I'm a garment knitter type person for myself, for the people in my family. Like those are the kind of projects that I always get really motivated to work on. But I really enjoyed this. So much that I'm actually considering making more as gifts. We have some babies that are being born in our life, and I think this would be a really cute one. Even though it's not really like newborn friendly, it would just be nice to have, I think. That'd be a nice gift, thoughtful. In general, the pattern is very straightforward. It's easy to follow, but I think I messed up. I don't really know. His body just looks a little off. And I definitely learned a lesson from the last stuffed animal that I did. So I've only done one other stuffed animal, and that was before Arthur was even born. It was from the Knitted Wild Animal Friends, the giraffe. And after doing that one, I definitely not as beginner friendly as this. This, if you want to get into knitting stuffed animals, is a perfect pattern because it's knit on 6.5 millimeter needles. So chunkier, and the yarn that's recommended is very forgiving. So this like fuzzy type yarn, it's difficult in a sense that like you can't really read your work. So I was getting, and I think that's what happened with the hind legs. I wasn't really 100% sure what like row I was on, but I was doing my best to count in my head, and I think I did okay, but I think maybe I did something off around the body, or maybe it was just sewing it on. Maybe I did it backwards. I don't know. So it's hard to read your work with this type of yarn, and that could be challenging, but for the most part, I just feel like it's perfect because sewing it all together, I think I did it like a hack job. And if it weren't for the fuzziness of this yarn, I feel like this dog would look a lot more mangled than he does. And he just looks perfect. I couldn't be happier. And I really love the yarn that I'm working with. I wanted to show it to you. We've got a lot of Katia yarn this time. New to me brand. Not a brand that I'm used to working with. This is basically, I only used a little bit of this ball this morning for the tail. So I could have almost that's maybe a frustrating part of this pattern, is that if only it could have just been the one ball, because this was, I want to say €9. You can definitely find fuzzy yarn cheaper, but this is what was in one of my local craft stores. And I've been wanting to try Katia. It's a brand that has a lot of interesting yarn, and I've never given it a try, so I was happy that they had one in like a more neutral color. This Polar, Katia Polar, this comes in a lot of unnatural colorways, so like hot pink. I think the only two neutral tones was a dark gray and this one. And luckily this was in stock. So I got 2 of those balls and used up one, a little bit of the second ball. So I think I will try to make another dog. I don't think I can squeeze it out of this, which is a shame. I don't think there's anywhere that I could modify the pattern to use less yarn. So I might have to problem solve or buy just another skein. But I could definitely see myself knitting more of these. Again, I think that the pattern was really nice. Exactly what you want. Not very detailed on how to assemble everything together, but it is pretty straightforward, maybe except for the hind legs in my case. I don't know if maybe I could have used more instruction there, or again, if it is just an issue of me like working up the piece. Did I mess up the row count and so on? So Carson, thank you so much. And so yeah, I wanted to just mention this, like this is normally never on my radar, and that's why I just love following a wide array of knitters, just of different styles. Because Carson, I think she has definitely, I love all of the projects that she works up, but she definitely has a more indie style, I think. And I go for a lot of like the Scandinavian mainstream patterns. So having her in my feed all the time is so nice, because things like this just pop up and I love it. So definitely go check her out because she makes cute things for her son, for her husband. A lot of fun. I love that dog. That dog is so cute. And it just blew me away, like how fast it knit up. Another thing that I got a half finished object is the socks that I was working on. This is, I mentioned it in one of my videos. I was talking about this sock and I mentioned it wrong, so I'm sorry about that and I want to correct myself. So I said that for this, it's a sock that's knit with sock yarn and mohair. And I followed I followed her Bear Paw Socks by Drea Renee Knits. So she has 2 types of socks that are in the same style. One is more of a DK weight, and one is a sock weight. So the DK weight is the Bear Paw Socks, so that's 2 socks, sock yarns held together. And I normally I follow my normal pattern, like my normal size for that pattern with the 2 sock yarns held together. But this is a mohair and a sock yarn, so I sized down. And I said in the video that I sized down from the DRK Everyday Socks, and that would be not what I did. That's not what I did here. And actually, I even messed myself up. So when I was knitting it up the first time, I knit it way too small. And I saved it just to kind of show you how far I got until I realized, like, this is not going to fit my foot. So then I started over. And I'm working with some yarn from Mondim. It's this one here. It's really pretty. It's not my normal color palette. It's got purples, pinks, and yellows. A little bit of red in here. I just really like the colorway. I saw it in my local yarn store, and I thought I should pick it up. It'd be fun for socks. I really have no rules when it comes to socks. I'm really just whatever. I'm a lot more picky when it comes to my sweaters. Like, this is as loud as it's gotten, I think, in recent memory. So yeah, this is just a half-finished object. 1 sock done. The other one, I only have the toe, so I'm really not gonna talk about that too much. It's kind of a jumbled mess, but what I really like to do is take some yarn, some mohair that's from my stash this is just scraps. I couldn't return this. It didn't work out for a project. I could return the ones that I unopened, but I opened this one for a swatch. And so like, what else am I going to do with it? But I think it works here. It kind of lightened up all of the colors. And then I used some other Mondim red yarn. And I kind of like that marling for the heel. What I really love about this pattern is the Flegel heel. I do love petite knits everyday sock, and I think I really enjoy knitting a German short row sock. Not so much a heel flap and gusset type person. I just don't like the look of it off the foot. I think I've knit it one time, but they weren't socks for me, so I don't know if it would fit me better. Maybe I should do that experiment, but I do like the Flegel heel a lot, and I love knitting it up. I find it so much fun to knit and so much quicker than the German short row heel. So that's why I really like this pattern. I would love to find a Flegel heel pattern that doesn't have rib. I do like the ribbed fit, and Andrea Mowry has talked about why it's all over rib. It's because it just fits the foot better, and that is true. But I do like the look of a stockinette sock more, I think. I don't know. Whatever. I like it all the same, but I would like to find one that's stockinette only. So if you have a pattern that you really like that has a Flegel heel, let me know. With just stockinette, I would be curious to hear about that. Yeah, what more to say about a sock? Nothing. That is a half-finished object. So that's everything that I finished. So the sweater, the dog, the sweet, sweet dog, and then half a sock, pair of socks. I think that's pretty good for the month of January. I'm really happy about that. With what I'm able to do, I love that. So now I want to update you guys on other things that I've got. One of which, we're not closing we're not closing the book on this. We're not closing the door on this is what I want to say. But I am just going to tell you that we're putting a pause on the Sanser sweater for now. So here's where I've gotten. This has been a very interesting project. It didn't frustrate me as much as I was thinking it would, and discourage me as much as I thought it would. But I think I just need some time away to make some decisions, some informed decisions. So here is where I've gotten. I haven't gotten very far, I feel like, from when I last gave an update. I mean, I did. Yeah, I did like another set of cables. So the problem with this sweater is the start. Just starting off, well, you know, doing rib and everything was fine. Everything was good until the instructions. There's a typo. There's a typo in the instructions. This is from Lina magazine. I don't know what edition it is. It's the one with the yellow cover. I didn't bring it upstairs today. And of course, I don't think I wrote it in my notebook. But this is the Sanser sweater by Olga Putano. I don't know if you purchased the pattern from her directly, if this error is there. What I will say is, yeah, in the magazine there is an error, and it's frustrating. Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but you have to know that it's not right, you know? It's about like how to make the cable, I think. And it's switched. So you're supposed to do the opposite of what it tells you, which is kind of, you know, frustrating. I hope so. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be that. But anyway, I've just been having a difficult time with this pattern. And then reading it was not fully clear to me. The way that they want you to do the cables. And, you know, if you look at the picture, you can clearly see how to interpret the instructions. But then if you're just reading the instructions, I feel like there's a lot of room for misinterpretation. And then that's what I did. I misinterpreted it. And so it's not what it's supposed to be. And what I was talking about the last time was I really want this year to just have fun, like don't take myself too seriously, enjoy. The beauty of making things yourself is that it's going to be unique, and this is one of the ways that it can be very unique, very lovely. And I want to embrace that, and I'm trying my best. And I kept going, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can keep going. This doesn't look so bad. I mean, it kind of looks cool, but I couldn't make up my mind if I wanted to just continue with the pattern as I messed it up, or if I just want to continue with the pattern as it's written and just have like a little extra detail on the bottom. So basically here, there's extra cables at the bottom, and it should be much more airy and spaced out. Now, it could be kind of cool as like a little bit of a border, but I won't know until I knit it all up, and I have to kind of just make that decision. So that's kind of where I was just discouraged, but then I also wanted to play, and I wanted to just do it, just go for it, just make a decision and go for it, but I couldn't. So I did take my my wish to heart, and I am being a little bit more playful and a little bit more spontaneous with other projects, just not this one. So I'm setting this one aside. I want to decide if I want to continue working on this sweater. I mean, there's no reason not to. There's already plenty of mistakes in here. I could just keep going. Some of my cables are a little off, so that's kind of frustrating. I could just treat this as a nice little introduction, a nice little warm-up to cables, and try something else, which is what I did. But I could just revisit this, so I'm not frogging it. I'm putting it back on the shelf, and I'm going to, touch on it when I'm ready, and it's just not now. I wanted to get some more successful projects out of the way before, to kind of like boost my confidence and then see where I'm going here. It's really not the end of the world, and I know that, and I think it could still be a really beautiful sweater. It's just I kind of lost the motivation. And that's okay too. I don't really want to force myself into working on a pattern just because I started it. I think I've done that in the past, and that's led me to not finishing multiple projects, and I want to follow my energy and not put parameters on myself, because I feel like I've done that in the past, and it hasn't been the best for my creativity or my motivation in my projects. So we're just gonna see it in the other way, and I'm gonna be okay with having UFOs. I've always ended up with UFOs. I'm not saying that I've been a person that never has UFOs, but I do think that I stop myself and I push through a project more often than not, or at least try. And I'm gonna try not to do that this time and see what that does. So I cast on 2 other projects that are very different, and I've been telling myself that I'm having a little bit of a knit life crisis because these projects are very out there, very different. So, it's kind of hot in here. I'm sitting right next to a heater, and it's on 5, and I'm in a woolly sweater, so woo! Okay. So I was in the mood for something different, something, challenging, but also something that I could have fun with. And what pattern writer I think screams fun more than Spectacle Strick? I don't know if you're familiar with that brand, but she releases a lot of fun, whimsical patterns, I think, that also, they're like modern whimsical. Excuse me. Yeah, they're just a lot of fun. Lots of fun colors that she uses. She has a lot of really interesting patterns, as in textures, but then also motifs. And I've always been a huge fan of a lot of her work. So I was looking and I got inspired by this one, which is just so out there. It's not one that I would have ever thought that I would work on, because there was a trend was it last year or the year before, for mesh garments, and I I really like the look of them, I guess, but I could never see myself wearing them, and that's like my whole thing. I want to make what I love to wear, and I could just never see myself working that. But I would really love to follow along knitters who knit that sort of thing, and I was really interested in it, and I was really interested in the trend, but just not for me. I even had like a thought, like, why would I would never knit something like that. No way. Well, never say never, people. Oopsie. Because one day you just might. Whoa. Dropping a bunch of stitches here. So, yeah. Here is my big Erica jumper. If I can uncurl it a little bit to show you. Oh yeah. Check this out. Wow. So lots of thoughts with this project. I, again, don't really know where the motivation came from. I don't go on Instagram a lot these days, but I did open up Instagram, and I think this is probably like the first thing that I saw. And I was really just craving doing something, just different, I want to say, but I was really thinking about doing something loud and out there and just goofy. Which to an extent, I played it safe in the end. But I did play with the idea. I really wanted to use this blue that I got from Woolly Knit. This is British wool in indigo. And this is something that they sent over to me when we were doing the well-loved Woolly Knits knit along. And it was a color that I didn't actually tell them I was interested in. But when they sent it to me, I was like, wow, I would really love to, because I think it would look really nice with my hair. It would complement, red hair a lot. And, this is a really trendy color. At least it was at the time. Now I don't know so much, but I was intrigued by it. So I was thinking, and I even saved it to work on the Mega Erica jumper in this color. I cast on for this project so many times with a multitude of combinations. I wanted to get some stuff out of my stash. What would be the best combination for that? I tried this blue, I tried some green, I tried white with a colorful mohair, and then I settled on, you know what, that's a little too much for me. Maybe I should try navy. I had a full navy cone of the Woolly Knit Merino, and I had a leftover skein, just one navy skein of mohair. So yeah, I was looking at all kinds of different things in my stash, like what color combinations could I do? What did I have on hand? Unfortunately, I settled on the one where I had a full cone, so a Woolly Knit cone will definitely be enough for this project, but I was holding 3 strands together, so 2 of the Woolly Knit cone and then 1 mohair. Unfortunately, I only had 1 navy mohair on hand. It was just left over from, I don't even know. Well, I knew the brand. It was from Veritas, which is a local semi-quasi craft store and also just like accessories store. And I had that in my stash to knit up, I don't know, something. But I only bought 1 skein. I didn't really think much of it. And I was like, oh yeah, well, Veritas, that's a big brand. So they're definitely going to still have that mohair in stock, so it wouldn't really be risky for me to cast on and work that up. Well, let me tell you, I was mistaken because, well, I'll get to that in a second, but so I started with the yoke, and it went very far, actually. So the mohair that I had went so far, a lot farther than I thought. I only just recently switched to a new skein. And this is just so much fun to knit. This mesh right here, I'm really enjoying it. Very easy to remember, like memorize the instructions. What else? Yeah, it's enjoyable. And I'm just shocked at how enjoyable it is. And I'm not even thinking really about like, how will I wear it, which might become a problem. But then again, sometimes these projects are the ones that it's just like, wow, I really love this. You know, it could be with a store-bought sweater too. It's not just a knitting project, but sometimes you buy something and then you think like, well, this might be risky. And then it turns out to be something that you wear just all the time. And I think because this is navy, it will actually be a lot more useful to me than I was originally thinking. So yeah, I was thinking, okay, yeah, well, normally knitting from stash, if you don't have a skein that maybe, or multiple skeins of something, and you purchased a skein maybe a couple years ago, there is the risk that it's not going to be available anymore, especially in the exact color that you have. But I was like, oh, it's navy. What's the risk with that? Well, there's a huge risk with it because I went back to Veritas, and the navy skein that I started out with was almost black. So it was a very dark navy. And oh, Veritas still has the mohair. They still have a navy mohair, but the silk core was white, like it wasn't dyed properly, and it was much more blue than the original. I was like, crap. I went to multiple Veritas stores in my area because there are multiple. It's a big chain and they were all the same. So they must have changed their recipe for the navy, which is really, really disappointing. I really wish that wouldn't have been the case, but I'm also thankful because Veritas is too expensive for the quality that they have. So the mohair, I would say, is mid to low tier and it's expensive. It's like €9.50 per skein. So I actually dodged a bullet there. And I think in the video that I was talking about, like 5 yarn brands that I love and a few that I'll never buy again, I actually mentioned Veritas yarn, and I was going to just buy it for the project. I really didn't care enough to be like, well, I'm never buying that again. But I actually dodged a bullet because I ended up finding another brand that looked way closer to the skein that I had, which I was really happy about. So this is the mohair right here. And in the camera, actually, it looks much more blue than it does in person. Really, really nice. I love this little, almost like a toilet paper roll thing that we've got going on. This is Katia again. So this is Katia Concept. There's the label for you. And this, half the price of the yarn that I had from Veritas, the mohair that I had from Veritas. So thank goodness for that. And I only needed 3 more skeins left over. So at first I was like, okay, well, maybe it won't be that big of a deal. 3 more skeins of the Veritas yarn in the blue. Like, do I really care? I don't know. This is just kind of like a fun for me, fun process knit. Will I really care? But in the end, it would bother me. So far, and like I said, I only recently switched mohair. Like, I only recently had to join in a new skein. But so far, it doesn't look, nothing's jumping out at me like, hey, something's wrong here. But yeah, this is just so out there, so not what I normally would go for. But the fact that I chose navy, I think is definitely a safer option than if I would have chose the electric blue, because the cobalt blue, whatever you want to call it, I think this would have been definitely harder for me to want to wear than this one. I can think that, you know, if I finish this in the next couple of weeks, we're going to the US soon. It'll be a lot warmer, I think. It'll still be winter, you know, weather, but I think this might actually be the perfect sweater to bring. So I'm really hoping that I finish by then. I'm on the body. I don't really, again, like this meshy detail really makes it, the stitch just makes it grow so fast. I really enjoy, though, working it back and forth more so than I do in the round. But, you know, again, like, it's such an open gauge that it's really just flying off the needles, and it's just a lot of fun. I really, just wanted to knit something different. The cables weren't working for me on the Sanser sweater, so just wanted to give it a try. So this is the Mega Erica Jumper by Spectacle Strick. And yeah, nothing else to say except, you know, good things. So this is the one crisis knit, you know, that I cast on. I really enjoyed this, but then I was also craving after. I was disappointed actually that this wouldn't work out for me. And I was like, well, I really want to knit something with this color. So I again went on Instagram, and it was almost like the first pattern that I saw. And I was just like, okay, let's do that. Let's just go for it. And it's a pattern that I owned. It's a My Favorite Things Knitwear pattern, one that many, many other knitters have made before me. Yeah, this is not, when I purchased this pattern, I want to say like 3 years ago, I don't know when it was released, but it could be as long as 4 years ago when I purchased it when it was released. Whenever that was, sweater number 14, I think. It's always difficult with her patterns. I never would have thought that I would go for something so out there as far as color goes. I would have assumed myself knitting something a little bit more. I wanted to do the Dusty Artichoke, but that was as loud as it was going to get. Even still, I could have seen myself knit something like more on the gray side, beige, brown, because all over cable knit sweater, I just thought that would be really nice and cozy, something really easy to pair and just throw on. But I went with the cobalt blue, so I ordered as soon as I just couldn't get this blue color out of my head. And I couldn't get it out of my head, so I went and ordered some yarn online. Some mohair to pair with it. This is Kid Silk, much better than Veritas as well. This is just a crowd pleaser of a mohair, and I just really, really love it. It's very affordable, and the quality is very, very nice. I'm proud to love the Drops mohair. I do. I just really enjoy it. But Katia Concept, I mean, that yarn also is really, really nice too. I feel like the quality is about the same. So if you want to try a different brand, I would definitely point you over there. They have just as many colors. And in fact, if I would have discovered Katia before ordering this Drops, I might have given that a try, because I was going to get the Drops for that project, but their navy just wasn't the right color. Katia Concept had multiple colors of navy, and like a darker one, a more blue one. So it was a lot of different options to choose from. So, right. Yeah, this is very loud, very out there, very interesting. Wow, this is like the first time I think I've seen it in front of me. What do you think? I don't know. I like it. I mean, I think that the color is going to be very flattering on me. I'm really curious to see if it's something that I'm going to go for. But yeah, I was just craving working on cables. This is a lot more straightforward cables. So I thought, okay, I know I want to work on a cable project. I don't want to frog that. It would have been really nice to just use what I already had, like the forest green, but I wasn't sure if that's what I'm not sure I really want to stop that project altogether, So I wanted to use yarn that was untouched, that was available. And yeah, like I said, I couldn't get this out of my head. So this is the Woolly Knit British Wool in Indigo and the Kid Silk from Drops in color 21. And it makes a really fun, loud cobalt blue fabric. It's not, so this British wool is definitely, I've noticed with the green, the forest green one that I also have, it's more variegated in color. It's not like a solid tone. There's some gray and white in here, and I think it's just due to it being British wool. The merino, all of those cones that I've been working with, they have a very unified color. So that's something to consider. So this isn't I think on camera you can't really tell, but when you look at the fabric in person, you see some variation in the yarn. And I don't really mind it. The fabric is very soft. The mohair definitely helps with that. The merino is definitely softer. But I don't think next to skin this is going to bother me. So I'm looking forward to it. This has been more slow going. More slow going. I mean, come on, look at everything that I've managed to do. And I told you guys that I really only knit in the evening. So I'm really impressed with everything that I've managed to get in my hands and work up. So yeah, I'm just now finished the back, and I think I need to start working on the front, like pick up stitches here. I'm not 100% sure. I did have to frog a little bit because I think I started doing another round of increases, and I think that was wrong for the size that I'm following. So I'm not sure where we're going from here, but yeah, this was also a recent cast on and a recent, just evening of enjoying it. I'm just, with these two projects, they kind of just make me laugh because they're just so out there from what I normally do, and I'm just really excited about them, and I love that. So I'm excited to see if I will stick with it. I think I will. I hope I will. I don't want to abandon too many projects, but again, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be so strict on myself, and we're just gonna play around. But, you know, I did purchase yarn for this, so I want to make sure that I'm getting it done. Now, there's still, I purchased some more yarn because I have another project that I really want to start and see how it will go. I want to see how much I can knit in a day. That's a video that's coming up that I want to kind of do more vlog style like those other ones that I've recently posted. I want to see how much I can knit in one day now with a toddler. And one of the things, this is purely on a whim, definitely impulse purchase, more Katia concept. This is Concept by Katia Piumino. I don't know. So when I was purchasing the fuzzy yarn for Harry the dog, I saw this yarn. And it's not my normal go-to anymore. I definitely really liked alpaca fuzzy yarn like this a lot a couple years ago in 2020 when I was really doing a lot of chunkier knits. This reminds me very much of Drops yarn, maybe a little bit more rough. And as a rule, I don't really gravitate towards this kind of fiber just because I don't like a really messy textured like finish fabric on sweaters because it just looks like it's worn out. You know what I'm saying? But something about this yarn just really spoke to me. I think it's the gray and the green and the brown and the pinks all together. It's really lovely. It's very soft. And it kind of brought me back to, I don't know, when I originally started knitting again after so many years. So here are my thoughts. I kind of want to knit a sable sweater for myself. Maybe modify it a little bit because I don't really want the neckline that is featured in the design, but maybe something, just like a classic raglan. I really want something loose and flowy, like a nice sweater, and I want something that's going to be quick to knit up because, again, we're going to the US, and I don't know, Mama wants some new clothes, and this is just, I want a new sweater to wear while I'm over there. So I thought it would be kind of fun since this is knit on, it's been a while since I've knit a sable sweater, but I want to say it's 10 millimeter on the body. I am really curious, like how long would it take me to knit? Because when I cranked out sable sweaters in the past, like in 2020, when I had all the time in the world to knit, I want to say it maybe took me like 2 days to knit a sweater like that. Something super chunky. So I'm just curious, like now, has it changed? I definitely don't recommend trying to crank out a sweater in a day, just because I think that's definitely what led to some wrist pain that I had. But, you know, I'm not going to push myself to injury, but I am just going to be curious, you know, if within a 24-hour period of a day that I'm dedicated mainly to knitting, how far can I get? And I thought that this would be a perfect one because the sable sweater is held, 2 strands held together on 10mm needles. Again, I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And yeah, I just thought it would be interesting. This could be a fun little experiment to do and a quick project to just, yeah, to work through, see what I can do, kind of bring me back to, yeah, my old patterns. So I'm interested in giving that a try. And hopefully I can film while doing that as well. Thank you guys so much for the really, really kind feedback on the last 2 like vlog style videos that I did. I have been really inspired by some homemaking videos that I've been watching recently. Like they spend all their time in the kitchen and they're just making food. And a couple of channels in particular, they just put a camera on and they just keep going. So I was thinking like, can you do that with knitting? Let me give it a try. I'm trying my best. I'm certainly not as, you know, I don't have like the eye for cinematography and that sort of thing, but hopefully if I keep doing it, I might get even better at it. So just like something that was fueling me creatively. If you haven't checked those out and you do like some nice voiceover videos, definitely click over there. That would be really, really nice to see you guys over there and, you know, get your feedback on it. So I want to do a couple of videos like that in the month because it just feels a little bit more attainable for me not to have to speak in front of a camera because I can't really control my surroundings. Arthur also grabbing for the camera and doing things. It's just not the same when he was a lot younger and like I could have him in the corner next to the camera, but he wouldn't mess with it, you know? So yeah, because things have changed a little bit. Yeah, the content has to change a little bit too. So I hope that is okay with you guys and that you enjoy it nonetheless because I'm enjoying making those videos. And I hope that kind of shows as well. Yeah. So I'm out of breath. I'm sorry I'm so breathy in this video. I'm trying, yeah, to catch my breath and speak so fast. Yeah. So thank you guys for sitting down and chatting with me about these projects. This is definitely a lot of a nice long podcast episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing these projects with you. I really wanted to sit down and talk about these today. So thanks for joining me. If you like this video, definitely give it a like. It really helps me out, and maybe subscribe if you haven't already to stick around. I would love to have you here. And I will see you in the next one, whether that's a vlog, a podcast, whatever it may be. I hope you join me. All right, bye.